Today, I'm bringing back an oldie but a goodie. Most of you haven't seen this build, but it has been done on this channel before. It just did it before we had basically any following, but I feel like it's a good enough concept that I wanted to bring it back to make sure it got more eyes on it. Paladins normally focus on single targets and don't really have many AoE options, but this build is very, very different. We're going to take an Oath of the Crown Paladin and we're going to make it an AoE beast. It'll be a ton of fun. Let's jump into it. Before getting started, I just want to ask a quick favor. If y'all be willing to just give us a quick subscribe, it really helps the channel out. But with that out of the way, let's jump into the build. For our lineage, we're going to need to be a Dragonborn. And specifically, I'd say we need to be a Fizzband's Dragonborn. That's because they can use their breath weapon attack multiple times per day, and that's going to be a huge deal. Past that, you guys have all the optionality in the world to choose whatever you want. With our stats, Paladins normally go something like Strength, Charisma, Constitution. We're actually going to be going Charisma, Strength, Constitution. And that's because we are way more focused on saves and things we can do with our Charisma than any other Paladin. As for our leveling structure, we're going to be going all 20 levels into the Oath of the Crown Paladin. In our early levels, we're just a Paladin. You're going to be doing a sword and board playstyle. Just get in there and smack people. You'll do just fine. Level 2, we pick up our fighting style and we're going Blessed Warrior. We really want to get some ranged options with this build because it has very, very specific positioning requirements. And sometimes we're not going to be able to move the way we want to go smack someone. So we need to have ranged options. Toll the Dead probably being the strongest, but you could also have Sacred Flame if it fits the flavor better. One spell I really recommending taking advantage of is Wrathful Smite. Because we have a higher charisma normal, their saves will be more difficult than normal, and the save on Wrathful Smite is nasty because it gives them the frightened condition and then they have to make a skill check. Skill checks are at disadvantage with the frightened condition. They have disadvantage on breaking out of Wrathful Smite, so it synergizes with itself and is an incredibly powerful first level spell for really debilitating one enemy bad. Take advantage of it. Seriously, you will be shocked at how powerful it is. At level 3, we get Champion's Challenge. This comes from the Oath of the Crown and is our channel divinity. What it does is everyone within 30 feet of us we get to choose has to make a save, and if they fail it, they can't move further than 30 feet away from us on purpose. This means we kind of create an arena that they have to stay in with us. But keep in mind that if we move and they are past 30 feet at the beginning of their turn, they're no longer affected by it. So that's why some turns we're going to have to hold still to make sure that they stay in our Champion's Challenge. That's when Toll the Dead can come in. Otherwise, you probably want to be smacking them in the face with your sword and board. And this begins our first step of control. If we go out ahead of our team and use Champion's Challenge and we're further than 30 feet away from our team, then we kind of create an arena where they can't get to our team. So we create this invisible wall. So we basically become a wall that they can't cross, or it makes it so they can't escape us or flee from our teammates if they're more range oriented. So it gives us a lot of options of what we can do, and it affects a lot of people. So I think there's a lot of fun things that can be done with it. But that doesn't end there. At level 4, we're getting Dragon Sphere. Dragon Sphere is the most powerful half feat, if you ask me. It's incredibly powerful, and it's amazing on Paladins because it gives Paladins AoE options. It's basically a multi-use fight winning spell per day. It's incredible. If you've never played with it, seriously try it out. It's also a half feat, which blows my mind. So you can take that charisma that you had, and if you had it odd at the beginning, which you wanted to, now it rounds it out, and you're going to get this powerful effect as well. So it's really interesting when you start combining these two effects, Champion's Challenge and Dragon Sphere, because Dragon Sphere pushes everyone away. They can't get closer to you, they can only run away. They're scared. And then Champion's Challenge keeps them from being able to run away. So if they get affected by both of those effects, they have to stand exactly 30 feet away from you and then just stand there. They can't do anything. They just sit there. And until we attack them, the effect doesn't end. So this build really creates an effect of divide and conquer, because everyone who saves on Champion's Challenge but fails Dragon Sphere, they just start running away. Whoever fails on Champion's Challenge but succeeds Dragon Sphere, they have to stay really close to us. Whoever fails both sticks to the edge, and then whoever succeeds both goes and does their own thing. So we create this environment of each characters having to go to different positions, so we naturally divide and conquer. And because our effects only end when we attack them as a team, if our team focuses down one target at a time, the rest of the targets just kind of sit there waiting for their turn to be absolutely nuked by our whole team. We are not only a powerful paladin with ranged options, we're also a one-man divide and conquer AoE controller. That's very unusual for a paladin, so I like to see it here. Once we hit level 5, not only are we getting extra attack, but more importantly, we're getting Find Steed. Find Steed allows us to do everything we already do much better. That's because it gives us powerful positioning options. We can be wherever we need to be. We can go ahead of the team way further to do a big Champion's Challenge or a big Dragon Sphere, so we can position wherever is needed. And again, whenever needed, we do have our ranged options, kind of more mid-ranged. At level 6, we get the Paladin's Aura of Protection, which is incredible. And we actually have the flexibility to be closer to our teammates than other builds because we have those mid-ranged options. And we're going to be positioning very specific anyway, so our aura of protection can be very high value. And that's before mentioning that we've been investing in charisma, which means our aura of protection is going to be better than average, even more so. Our level 7 aura allows us to tank for teammates, may or may not come up as much, but at the very least, we're going to have our fine Steed, so we can always tank for it when needed. At level 8, I'm probably going to be bumping our charisma. We want to get that as high as possible. And then here comes level 9, where we get the crazy good Spirit Guardians, and this works fantastically well with what we're already doing, specifically Champion's Challenge. Champion's Challenge traps them in a little 30-foot bubble. We fill up the majority of that bubble with Spirit Guardians, so now they have very little room to work with. They can't go outside of Champion's Challenge. If they go any closer, they get in Spirit Guardians, so they're just kind of on this edge of death, and we can just kind of take a couple steps, and once again, they're in the blender. Really powerful combination how it all comes together. I think it's cool that we're basically a full spellcaster paladin with high charisma, but don't forget, we're still a paladin. We can still get in there and smack them in the face. Wrathful Smite is still incredible. I don't care what level you're at, it is still a great single target debilitating effect. It's fantastic. And I would say that when you're facing a legendary creature, they're so likely to use a legendary resistance to stop that, and it's a first level spell. That tells you how powerful it is. Just keep in mind, we're likely having Spirit Guardians going, we're dropping Divine Smites with our attacks, and we're eventually getting improved Divine Smites. So don't sleep on how much damage output we can do in melee, even though we have a ton of options outside of it. You know what? Don't forget that this is the core of a paladin. High AC, high saves, gives it to their teammates, and now we get to control our enemies on top of that. We're taking an already fantastic chassis with very few weaknesses, one of them being dealing with crowds, and now we can deal with crowds just fine. This is a powerful build. The other weakness being ranged attacks. Well, at least we have mid-ranged attacks. So it's interesting. It's like a core paladin with its weaknesses largely covered. But that's the build. As always, if you guys want to leave me a challenge build or give your thoughts about this build, do it in the comments down below. But other than that, my friends, I hope you have yourselves an incredible day, and I'll catch you on the next one. See you then.